Hey everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. Today it is Sunday morning, October 12th, 2025, and I'm on my way to the flea market to vend. So I thought today I would tell you about the last weird story I have from my childhood. And then we'll move on to the stories from my adults' life, which, anyways, I was around 16 years old. I don't know, I think it was like 1979, 1980, somewhere around there. But anyways, I was walking home from the school bus stop, and I was nearly home. And I remember it was a beautiful, clear, sunny day, nice blue skies. And I happened to look over to my left and up in the sky. And I saw this dot in the sky that appeared to be moving and getting closer and closer. And as it got closer and closer, it got bigger and bigger. And there was nothing else up in the sky but that. And I thought to myself, that can't be what I think it is. You know, I was like, no way. But it was. So, unfortunately, I cannot remember everything that happened. I wish I could. Every once in a while, I'll look for a good hypnotist to help me remember more. But either there isn't one in my area who will do it in person, or it's just not affordable. So anyways, I remember getting closer and bigger, and it got like, I remember, my memory goes to the point where it's still above me a little bit, but I could see it perfectly. And yeah, it was one of those round ones with the, like, kind of like thing at the top that was also kind of round. I don't know. Couldn't tell you what's in there. I'm just going to assume it's the mechanics, you know, where you would, I don't know, maneuver it. I don't know. But anyways, my memory goes out as it gets, you know, close to me. Then the next thing I remember is being in the spaceship. And I can vaguely remember like stuff on the ceiling, but I can't remember what it is. My clearest memory of being inside was this blue rectangle on the wall that was to my left, but down like near my feet more. I believe I was laying down, and this blue rectangle hanging on the wall, it looked like it was like a blue vinyl, but I doubt it was. In all my life, every time I think of that thing, what the hell was that? I mean, because it was just, you know, blank and it was blue. And that's it, you know? Anyways, so then my memory goes out again. My next memory is of leaving the ship. And as I'm leaving, now, at this point, I felt very familiar with these people. Like I knew who they were. Like I knew them very, very well. Now I was very shy and quiet when I was young. I mean, I rarely spoke 2 words. In fact, you know what? My shyness did not break until my son died when I was 49 years old. So for me to be able to kind of like stand up to them and give them a piece of my mind, I had to have known them, because I was only able to do that with people I knew. So I'm leaving, and I turn around and I look back at them, And I was like, how can you do this to me? You know how strict my mother is. I'm going to be in so much trouble. She's going to be worried. She's going to be angry. I'm not going to be able to, leave the house and go out and do anything for a very, very long time. Because to me, it felt like I was gone, like forever. So anyways, I proceed back home, which I was right around the corner, thankfully. And the first thing I do when I walk in the house, because you walk into the left, or 2 steps up into the kitchen. You go up and the wall, or the clock is on the wall, like across from the entrance. First thing I did was look at the clock, and I couldn't believe it. It was like 4 o'clock, the same time I get home every day. And I was like, what? Like, how'd they do that? So, my mother didn't, notice a difference. She wasn't worried. She wasn't angry. But for me, it did make a difference. I remembered that. And although I was familiar with them and I gave them a piece of my mind, I still did not want that to happen again. So what I did was I changed the way I walked home. So the school bus dropped us off at a theater that used to be in our neighborhood. And this theater happened to be right next to a car dealership where my cousin worked. So what I did was, to help myself be a little bit more brave, I would get off the bus, walk over to a car dealership, and visit with my cousin for a while. I don't know if it was throw off the timing, but I don't think that's possible because they always, if they want to find you, they can. And so I'd visit with Carl a little bit, and then I would start walking home, but I would take the long way. So I was like almost going in the opposite direction and then looping back around. Just because I didn't want that happening again, and I was afraid that it would, but it never did. Now, what I found out later, you guys don't have to believe me. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just telling a story from my childhood, So, what I found out when I was older was that I do not typically incarnate on Earth. My soul, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, typically incarnates on other planets, but most often on a planet called Sirius B, I think it's B. And yes, that is why my dog is named Sirius. I named him after there because it's hard to explain, but I do get this sense of homesickness, especially when this place gets crazy. Well, it always is, but when the craziness is off the charts, I almost was not paying attention to the deer. Anyways, so, I've talked to you about pre-life planning before. Again, you don't have to believe it, but in my spiritual path, it is a thing where you are planning your life before you even are born, before you even incarnate. So when I decided, now this isn't just me, there were other people who did this too. Nothing special about me, people. Don't. We, made this plan that I would incarnate with some psychic abilities, and that at some point my people from Sirius would come and harvest my eggs. They do that a lot. I guess different groups do it for different reasons. The reason it's being done on Sirius is because they wanted a generation coming in that had heightened psychic abilities. Now, they probably did. They already have that. psychic abilities. Probably, I think other planets are more aware of their psychic abilities than people on Earth are. Because although we have them, and I have told you guys we do, we were brainwashed out of it. And I do think a lot of this weird shit going on is to wake us up and have us remember that, yes, we do have these abilities and we're capable of more than we've been told. So anyways, and I'll tell you, it's not easy. It is not. It is difficult. That's what was going on then. They had come back, did the smart thing when I was nice and young, harvest my eggs. I don't think they're going to be coming back anymore. Just joking. Yeah, I'm in my 60s now. I don't think they'd be, interested in any reproduction thing with me, unless they want to study the aging process on Earth. I'm just kind of useless when it comes to reproduction these days, which is fine by me. I had my 2 boys, raised them. I'm want to do my thing now. Okay, but anyways, yeah. So that's my story for that one. I have a feeling a lot more happened to me during my childhood that I don't remember. And yes, there's a lot more coming up when I tell you the things that have gone on in my adult life. Some of it has to do with, like spirits, people who have passed already. Some of it has to do with ETs. For some reason, I have a connection there, even though when I was a kid, and my cousin was obsessed with Star Trek, and he'd have it on all day long. I was so bored. I mean, come on, Jer, please turn the channel. I had no interest in that. I did love the night sky, though. But yeah, the Star Trek stuff, I don't know. Anyways, it's going to be another beautiful day here in Northeast Ohio. I think it's going to be, we're actually going to get up to 66 today. Clear skies, just gorgeous. So I'm feeling very blessed for that. Also very blessed that I live where I do, because it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful here. I don't care what anybody says about Ohio. I get so many insults. And I'm from Ohio. I can't understand why. Now, every part of the state looks different. I happen, where I live, we're beyond that now. It's just like, it's called the Chagrin Valley. And it is like the beginning of the foothills of the Alleghenies. So it's very beautiful. Anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful